heard that?
Oh, yeah.
Let me just tell you, it is not exactly 5 minutes. And if I could get back all of the 5 minutes that I gave to Shalom, I might live as long as his mother. So we're going to say a few things, and we're going to start off with Kevin Bowling, and he's going to read a proclamation.
Yes, you can't retire without a proclamation from the county, so just so you know. Okay, and this was a lot of hard work from Tibby and Des, I'll tell you that to begin with. So we have a proclamation from the Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors honoring Shalom Dream Peace Compost. And just hold on, I'll try to not read too fast. Whereas, prior to joining the county, Shalom first used his chosen name compost on his DMV application, having previously informed his colleagues and friends, and presumably in a brave moment, his fiercely loving mother Rose, that his new name matched more closely his life's philosophy, thus truly doing things his own way. And whereas Shalom began his employment with the county as a GP programmer analyst on November 18, 1985, and was promoted to senior programmer analyst in less than 1 year in recognition of his skills and ability to precisely track down time down to 10-minute intervals. And whereas in 1987, the inaugural year of the Employee Recognition Program, Shalom was nominated by Mary Dunn, Deborah Reed, Susan Truesdale, and Jerry King for his contributions to the Tax Collection Division software program and handily won the award. And whereas Shalom took advantage of the breadth of training classes offered to community staff, which you can see around, availing himself of the knowledge of stress-free power, coordinating and communicating, how to work with people different from yourself, basics of supervision, and unclutter your desk.
I don't think that one says.
And whereas in October of 1991, Shalom filled out the county name change form, adding Dream Peace to his evocative and unique, a word I can't say.
Sober cat.
Okay.
Say that again, what was that?
Sober cat.
I think so.
Test him on that one.
And whereas always choosing to go his own way and therefore retiring before his system did, Shalom officially retired on December 30th, 2011, but the property tax system didn't retire until September 21st, 2012. So after 27 years, Shalom's work still was not done, so he became an extra help employee. And whereas during his time as extra help, Shalom completed with the incomparable Mike Coolbeans Dunn a record number of data migrations from ROLM files, moving millions of records until the final migration of September 2012. A fitting tribute to the many hours of programming Shalom contributed to making the mainframe tax system so robust. Now therefore I, Zach Friend, chairperson of the Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors, hereby proclaim that Shalom Dream Peace Compost can finally take off his extra help hat and leave all things property tax behind, except of course for paying his taxes. Because his work here is done. It's been an honor, and I've lost many, many hours of 5 minutes at a time. Thanks, Lord.
All right. Well, I usually do this, just without a pad and speech written, but since this event is alcohol-free, and there's a rolling camera, I had to write something up, so bear with me. And before I start, though, I'd like to just say that sincerely, I'd like to thank you for the 28 years you've been at the county. It's been a fun, great ride. The devotion you did to the tax team and tax conversion is amazing. So thank you very much.
Dennis was here from the beginning. There's a few people, Dennis, Stacy, that here all these years.
Peanut butter. since, I've been here in ISD as long as Shalom, which you just mentioned, Kevin and Tibby have asked me to do a little talk of the pre-KV Tibby times. So back when Shalom and I started working here, the mainframe was alive and well, and about ready to die as soon as we can kill it. So it was different times. The programmers were learning how to write customer systems in Dial 280, which was Batch and Mantis online languages. So it was new to all of us, and was a perfect setting for someone with a bright mind, Shalom, to excel. And he did just that over the years, becoming our programming innovator in ISD. So Shalom was often the first to master new areas in ISD, such as, and bear with me, I'll probably leave a few out, Shalom, ACX PM printing, AFP printing, laser page printing, basically anything printing. Mantis in-text, execs, macros, batch parms, anything RAPS related, and many, many more, including, of course, the trickier aspects of the Dial 280 and Mantis languages. Now, others in ISD were using these same tools, but it seemed Shalom was always ahead of the rest of us. And if you were stuck on something or needed help with anything, you knew Shalom was where you had to go for your solution. But that cubicle with the tall, long-haired, bearded man in the tie-dye shirt could absorb you for an hour or so, or 2, even 3. You see, Shalom is also a storyteller, and rarely misses his opportunity to give you the very, very detailed process of what he discovered, conquered before you. So you knew Shalom had the answer, but did you have the time required to get it? In most cases, you had to endure the story because Shalom was your best chance to proceed. All in all, it wasn't that bad. In fact, most of the time, it was entertaining. You learned to appreciate the process, and you realized just how much you came to appreciate this character in that tie-dyed shirt, Shalom, Dream Peaks, Compost.
Dennis.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to wrap it up for the 3 of us, but I'm sure there's others who, if they don't want to speak in front of the rolling, intimidating camera, to have their words preserved, will likely come up and say a lot to you. There's also several cards where people have expressed their appreciation and best wishes.
I just wanted to say that as his girlfriend, I know he has spent countless hours here.
So now we have corroborating evidence.
Day and night.
So Shalom, you can't really talk about Shalom without mentioning a few things. We've heard that you can't talk about him without his attention to time detail. He can track time like nobody's business. I've never seen anyone fill up our time keep in a 1.8-hour increment. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. So his billing is impeccable and just really something to behold. Somehow when he gets in his cubicle, as you've noticed, that sense of time expands a little bit, and he spends a lot of it. One of my proudest moments really was when Shalom and I figured out how I could get him not to tell me everything he knew about the ROLM file. And he actually looked at me and said, "You don't want to hear this, do you?" I almost did a dance, but I restrained myself. But there's another piece of Shalom that you kind of need to know about because it sort of fills another side of him. We've mentioned his mother, Rose. She's 102 years old. So when you think of Shalom retiring right now, he's got about 40 more years, probably. And in a bit, we'll talk about some things that will probably keep him busy. But his mother is just amazing. And I actually got to know her virtually, which is also amazing because she's 100. and she became my oldest pen pal. I bet I'm probably the only one in the room who has a pen pal who's 102. And she shared quite a bit with me about Shalom, and she adores him. She adores him, and the feeling is clearly mutual. She did mention that he seemed to have left home quite early. Earlier than she would have liked. Now, I should mention, Rose lives in, if you can believe this, Beverly Hills, LA. So it just seems a little interesting to kind of put that in context. But she did mention that he went berserkly of the 60s. And that's kind of what prompted this theme. And she actually used those words in her email. So she's pretty hip with the language. When Dennis mentioned the bearded, long-haired guy, many of you might remember that one day Shalom came in and his hair was gone, his beard was gone, and it was because his mother had turned 100, and he promised that he would cut his hair and shave his beard when she turned 100. And she clearly was going to hang out for that moment. And she stuck around because she wants to continue enjoying it, and bless his heart, he remains clean-shaven and
It's for me.
coiffed. So the women in his life are quite influential. And as the proclamation said, Shalom, he retired before his product was retired, which is a little unusual. Usually people stay and then retire together. But it really worked out because I think he told me he hadn't worked this hard in years, and he was doing it in a very short period because he was extra help. And he just knocked his socks off. He was here day and night. Night and day. Transferring records and doing all kinds of things, and we really, really couldn't have done it without him. 11, something like that, data migrations. That's a lot of data to be moving many, many times. And you know, we still have a little bit of a bumpy road, as some people in the room know, with our new product. It's not as good as Shalom's. Anyone in the tax team will tell you that. And I have to say something about that. When I went back and I read some of the history, because as has been pointed out, I wasn't here the whole 28 years, one of the things that struck me throughout all of the reviews is each review said something about, now Shalom built this piece of the tax system. Now Shalom built this piece, and this piece, and this piece. And he just kept adding and adding and adding. And it gave me a great deal of insight, Dave, as to why when you talk to the tax people, they say, well, we just press this button and all this stuff happens, and then a report comes out and we give it to the auditor. And I could never figure out why they didn't know what was going on. Well, Shalom made it so easy for them. They didn't need to know. They just needed to know what to do next, and the magic would happen. And that's kind of the art of computer programming. I mean, we all talk about computer science, and it is a science, but it's an art. And that's the art piece of it. And he certainly did a phenomenal job of creating and taking those skills and making it a work of art, in effect. One that I think they kind of want back.
No.
But we're working on it. We're working on it. So, we talked about all the things that Shalom's done in the past. So let's talk a little bit about what someone like Shalom, kind of an institution really, should do going forward. And so I thought we should present him with some other things from kind of institutions of Santa Cruz. So I don't know if this is exactly an institution, but there's a place called Vino Cruz. I'll give it a plug. They sell wine from this area. And really no retirement is complete without champagne. And so this is a bottle of Catherine Kennedy Local Vineyard for you to enjoy. Take it ready to a drink. But I think there's a few other places that Shalom should probably go and hang out. I'm just going to open your present for you. So one is a little gift card from Lulu Carpenters when you need to hang out, get out of the house, because now he's going to be around all the time. So you might want to send him on a little field trip. So here's a little gift card to go have a little cup of coffee at another institution. If you get a little bored and you need something to read, you can go chat up Neil Coonerty, who I think will be spending much more time in his bookstore, and you can buy yourself a gift book.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else should he do? Oh, I know. You probably know Shalom likes to ride his bike. When he's not driving his art car, I think you all know his art cars, can't miss it, but he likes to ride his bike. And is your mom going to see this?
I think so, I hope so.
All right, then I'm not going to talk about something I'm not supposed to talk about with your bike.
Oh, no, you can talk about
Okay, he had a really bad bike accident a while ago and had to recuperate, and so he's still doing that. So I thought, well, maybe there's a couple things you might use. One would be a map, in case you've forgotten where things are. And then you can go to your favorite bike store. And let me tell you, I went to get this gift certificate and I said, oh, there's someone retiring, we're getting in this great gift certificate at the bike trip. And they said, oh, really, who's that? And I said, oh, he's a programmer, this and that. And they said, well, who is he? I said, Shalom. And they go, oh, we know who he is. But what was interesting is she didn't seem to know he's a programmer. So he's kind of has this whole other life that we know nothing about. And so sometimes you worry about people going off and retiring, but I have no qualms that he's going to do just fine retiring. So here's a little gift card. If you lose the card, they have it marked down in your file, because apparently you have a file there. And they know exactly who you are. And so that'll keep you busy. Maybe you can get a really good helmet.
Mine was pretty good. I'm still here.
And then lastly, you can kind of see we've got this theme going on. There's this tie-dye thing going on. And, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could get Shalom like a t-shirt or something? But, tie-dye is so personal. And I just really couldn't pick what he should get. So luckily, because this is Santa Cruz, there's a place downtown. And it's called...
Brighter world.
That's it. How funny you would know that. And so they have these really flashy gift things. And so I talked to the fellow in there, and he would be delighted to make a t-shirt, or Shalom could make his own. And you could have a little party, make his own. But here you go. Have fun with that.
Thank you, Timmy.
So now we know he's going to keep really busy. And we welcome you back at any time if you have, 5 minutes you want to spend. Feel free. As long as it's on your dime, we're good. And I hope you have an awesome retirement, and I hope you actually do it this time. And stay retired, maybe, and find some other adventures. I know you'll be very busy. He's going to be busy all summer long at the Rainbow Festival and touring Europe and riding his bike hither and yon using his map and his new helmet or whatever. And do stop by when you're in the neighborhood. And I hope you'll all stay and enjoy cake from the Buttery, chocolate, of course, by request. And there's a little gluten-free collection over here for those who need that. And please have lots of cake. And thank you all for coming.
One thing we haven't
I wrote down some things. I think I lost the things I wrote down. Much of it already got said. But, I wouldn't be here if it hadn't been for Mary Dunn, who hired me. Back in 1982, there was a team of 3 people, Paul Stevens, Mary Dunn, and Harriet Hinden, woman of many names. And they started from scratch to build a property tax system that you now have a sense of how enormous property tax is in Santa Cruz. And they built something beautiful. They had the faith to hire me. I worked really hard. I enjoyed what I did. I think I especially enjoyed what I did because I got so much appreciation from lots of people in the customer departments. It was really fun being a mentor to people in this department when I read manuals and I figure out how to do things that people haven't done before. And people appreciated that and they came to me for help. And people in the customers departments were, assessors, auditor, tax collector. They were always saying nice things to me that I could look forward to coming in to work. So now it's a time that, I get to walk my dog around my neighborhood, enjoy Pleasure Point, enjoy the neighborhood, the community I live in. I can stay up dancing late at night. I can ride my bicycle 200 miles a week. It's like I get to do, it's not a total change in my life, but I get to do a lot of things that I've been doing that I just want to be able to do more of. And I just have time for my girlfriend more, and for my mother, for my dog. My dog gives me the most appreciation. If I And so, thank you for, this 28-year wild trip. Stacy was here when I first came. Judy. There was, I can forget people's names. Oh, what's the name of the auditor controller? I know that woman. I worked with her. I've endorsed her. Vote for her in the next election, and enjoy chocolate cake. And I'm glad to be here in this moment.
Happen now and not in a memorial.
Well, we quivered at the thought of you retiring in my office. Cheryl.
So you say that in past tense. You're still our hero.
Would there, I think people might want to hear about your old name and your new name, and why you chose your name. I've always wanted.
So Tom asked me to explain why I'm Shalom Dream Peace Compost.
Mark's timing it.
I had two brothers who were killed in the Holocaust. One of them was named Avraham. So when I was born, my parents named me Shalom Avraham Rich. Then they said, that's bad luck. We're going to change his name. Bad precedent.